For 4 years, the easiest explanation was that Lewis Hamilton had declined. Then Shanghai happened, and that story suddenly looked incomplete. Hamilton did not just put a Ferrari on the podium for the first time in his career. He looked sharper under pressure, more natural in wheel-to-wheel combat, and far more connected to the car than at any point since the ground effect era began. That reaction inside the paddock was immediate, because engineers were not only watching the result, they were watching how it happened. The race pace, the confidence on corner entry, the control in long battles, the calm in the final stint, all of it pointed in the same direction. And once that pattern is placed next to the 2026 rule changes, the story becomes much more serious. Because this may not be about Hamilton changing at all. It may be about Formula One quietly changing back toward the kind of driver Hamilton has always been. And if that reading is correct, then Shanghai was not just a podium. It was the first warning that the competitive logic of this new era may already be shifting. Before we go deeper, make sure to subscribe to the channel and tell me in the comments where you're watching from right now. Every message is read carefully, and something a lot of people ask is how these news-style videos are made. Simple videos like this helped monetize multiple YouTube channels. If you want to learn how to create channels in this format, there's an ebook in the pinned comment. Just open the link and see how it works. For the past few seasons, the easiest explanation followed Lewis Hamilton everywhere. He was declining, slower, less adaptable, a legend reaching the natural end of his cycle. That narrative spread quickly because it was simple, easy to understand, easy to repeat. But inside the garages, the people who rely on data never fully accepted that version. Because the numbers were telling a different story. Not about a driver losing ability, but about a driver trapped in the wrong environment. The ground effect era demanded something very specific: smooth inputs, stable rear end, minimal rotation. The car had to be guided, not attacked, but that has never been Hamilton's identity. His strength has always been operating right at the edge, late braking, sharp rotation, feeling the rear move and still controlling the car. Under those rules, that instinct became a liability, not because it was wrong, but because the car punished it. Grip did not fade gradually, it disappeared. And when it disappeared, there was nothing left to manage. That is why those seasons looked the way they did. But then came the reset. The new regulations changed something that most people underestimated. The way these cars lose grip is no longer abrupt. It is progressive, subtle, manageable. That single shift reopens a window that had been closed for years. Drivers can now explore the limit again, not fear it, not avoid it, explore it. And that changes the balance of the entire grid more than any headline result ever could. Because adaptation is not happening at the same speed for everyone. Some drivers are still trying to understand where that limit actually is. Others are pushing too hard and losing more than they gain. And then there are a few who look immediately comfortable, not experimenting, not guessing, just driving. And that difference becomes visible over time. Not always in the first laps, but in the moments that matter most. Long stints, close battles, high-pressure situations. That is where Shanghai revealed something important, not just the result, the behavior. Hamilton did not look like a driver managing a difficult car. He looked like a driver operating within it. Every input had clarity. Every correction was minimal. The car responded, predictably, calmly. That kind of connection does not appear by accident. It appears when driver and machine are finally aligned. And that is only part of the story. Because inside Ferrari, this project did not begin in the first race of the season. It started months earlier. Long simulator sessions, feedback cycles, development decisions that shaped the direction of the car. Small details that over time become decisive. When a driver helps define how a car behaves at the limit, the result is not just speed, it is consistency. And in Formula One, consistency under pressure is what separates competitive from dominant. That is what began to emerge. And inside the paddock, that shift does not go unnoticed. Engineers started comparing data, not just lap times, behavior, energy use, stability across stints. And when those patterns begin to align, the conversation changes. Quietly, without headlines, but with growing attention. Because this is how every major shift in Formula One begins, not with a dramatic breakthrough, but with a subtle pattern that only a few recognize early. That is where the story becomes uncomfortable for the rest of the grid. Because if this is not just a moment, if it is a structural change, then the competitive order is not stabilizing. It is evolving, and not in the direction many expected. For years, the sport rewarded a very specific type of driving: controlled, conservative, minimized risk. That phase defined who dominated. But now the signals suggest something different. The sport is starting to reward feel again. Sensitivity, precision at the edge, the ability to manage instability instead of avoiding it. And those qualities are not new. They are exactly what defined Hamilton at his peak, which means this is not a reinvention, it is a reactivation. That distinction matters because it reframes everything that came before. Maybe those difficult seasons were not evidence of decline. Maybe they were evidence of misalignment, a driver whose strengths no longer match the system around him. And now that system has changed, quietly, structurally. And with it, the interpretation of performance begins to change as well. That is why this moment carries more weight than it appears. Because when a driver with Hamilton's experience suddenly looks comfortable again, it is never just about confidence. It is about compatibility. And when compatibility returns, performance does not spike randomly. It builds, gradually, predictably, until the gap is no longer small. And by the time that becomes obvious, the advantage is already established. So the real question is no longer about a single race, it is about direction. Did Hamilton find something new this season? Or did Formula One return to something he never lost? Because if the answer is the second one, then this is not just a strong start. It is an early signal of a deeper shift, one that the rest of the grid may still be trying to understand, while it is already happening in front of them. And that is how eras begin, quietly, not when everyone sees it, but when only a few understand it first. So now, the discussion moves to you. Do you think this is just a phase, or the beginning of something much bigger? And if Formula One really has shifted back toward Hamilton's strengths, how long until the rest of the grid feels it? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you want to stay ahead of the stories that are shaping this season beneath the surface, subscribe to the channel. Because in Formula One, what changes the championship is rarely what everyone is watching. It is what almost no one notices at first.